And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Also, to welcome those where we're simulcasting on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Glad you all could join us for our program today. If you guys are new to us here on Amazon, we do welcome you guys to the broadcast. Make sure you guys hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. Also, you will see my next guest book. I'm excited to welcome Deann D. Mathews to our broadcast today. We're going to be talking about this book here that I think you guys will really find helpful. It's Seizing the Crypto Bull Run for Financial Freedom. I want to talk to Deann not only about the writing of the book, but also what it's been like for her to educate people like myself who've never really looked into cryptocurrency, and maybe it able to help us out, learn more about it, but also what may work best for us. If you guys are not following Deann, we will let you guys know, of course, how to do that. Deann, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you for your time, Cyrus. And thank you to all on the simulcast as well.
Well, look, we're glad to be able to have you. So the cool thing about this is that for a lot of people, I think even when they hear about crypto or cryptocurrency, a lot of it, including myself, a lot of it goes over our heads. I was saying to you before we went on here, Deann, I've never looked much into it, never had anything against it. Some people have very strong feelings. They're kind of leery about it. I want to begin there. What has it been like for you to have conversations about what cryptocurrency is and isn't?
It goes, like you said, it goes one of two ways.
Hmm.
And it has to do really with how crypto works, which is by the time you hear about it, like most investments that take a little bit of while to mature, it's too late. So by the time you hear about it, you come in too late. Yeah, you're gonna get hurt. So you a lot of people have gotten hurt because they're on the wrong end of the cycle. And then there's people who are just discovering it and want to know when to get involved. But unless you have some sense of how the whole cycle works, it's kind of hard. It's not as, we've known stocks and bonds. Crypto
Right.
is 16 next year. It's a teenager. We're just getting to know this teenager.
Hmm.
So
Gotcha.
it can go either way.
Yeah.
There's definitely the two paths of talking about crypto that you describe are a lot of the conversations I have run along those lines.
Mhm. So I'm curious because you, of course, have been able to have other conversations with people. Deann, now with this book, you're being able to tell them not only about your own personal journey. We're going to get more into that with crypto, but also, of course, being able to educate people on a path that may work for them. What made you decide that this was a topic you wanted to be able to tackle?
I had gotten a question from a young lady who I mentor in a completely different field. In my other life, my other lives, one of them, I'm a church musician and community musician. And she had some questions. She was getting ready to do her first investment. She's in her 20s. And so I believe it was July the 28th, a Sunday, and no one else came to Sunday school that day. So I had time to sit down and talk to her about how Bitcoin works. By July 31st, out of that conversation, a whole book had formed in terms. I didn't realize I had that much knowledge just having been in it for 4 years. But
Mm.
that's actually what started it. I'm tired of retail always comes in last anyway, but then if you are, shall we say, of the earth tones of the earth, you are the
Mhm.
last of the last. I'm like, I have the ability. So I said, Lord, what would you have me do? He said, write the book and I'll bless you. And here we are.
Yeah. Well, I have to say for myself, and my audience knows this, Deann knows this because of course I messaged her. I bought the book myself. It wasn't gifted to me. I bought it on Amazon myself. I wanted to be able to experience it as the reader would experience it. I knew that she had written the book, of course, because she had sent me the Amazon link. But when I got into it, there were a couple of things I didn't expect. You do share a lot of knowledge in the book, Deann, but it is very digestible. And for someone like myself who's very simple, I consider myself a very simple guy. It is definitely written in a way that I can be able to understand it. But I want to read something that you say in the book about halfway through about yourself. And I thought this was interesting that you chose to wait till chapter 8 of the book to talk about your own experience. And I want to read this and we talk about it. The chapter is my personal strategy. And this is what Deann says for those who have the paperback. And we have both of them on Amazon here, both the paperback you guys can get there for $9.99, you can see there, or you can get, of course, you can get the Kindle edition for $4.99 today. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. But on page 66, for those who have the paperback, Deann says this: here are a couple of things to say. My personal strategy is, of course, my personal strategy. That is, it aligns with my personal goals and what I want to achieve in the crypto markets. I'm a quiet and peaceful person looking to live a quiet and peaceful life. I'm not in the crypto markets to get a Lamborghini. I'm also not a financial advisor. I'm an artist, educator, and a journalist by profession. But then you go on to say this: remember, only you are you, and no one is living your life but you. Only you know what you can afford to invest and when. Only you can determine your goals and what and when you must invest. I love that you talk about that, Deann, because I think one of the things that people hear all the time is there seems to be this pushing of you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this amount. If you want to be able to see something quickly, you have to be able to you have to do this. You want to be able to really, make it. And I think that makes people kind of, for one, leery, but also
Yes.
kind of like, okay, well, I can't do that. I'm not
Hmm.
in a position where I can do that. Talk to us about what your introduction was like and how you got to a place where you realized, okay, this is what I want to do to get started.
Well, introduction was a video. Three Blue, One Brown is a mathematics video, but he took his time way back in 2019 to explain how Bitcoin works.
Mhm.
And I was just where you are in 2019. Knew about it, heard about it, wasn't paying that much, it was curious.
Mhm.
But this video came breaking it down. And of course, it's 2019. I'm working on my fourth book at that time. I was on your show at that time. So my mind was working on a mystery, wasn't thinking about investing. But this intrigued me. So I literally watched this video and prayed, Lord, if you want me to be in crypto, you got to show me a way I can understand. I discovered Hive's predecessor about 2 weeks later. But that's a very personal path. That's not the path most people would take. It's very individualized. I'm a writer. This is my fifth book.
Mhm.
So I needed a path into crypto that worked for me. Now, it just so happened that 2019 and 2023 are about the same point in the cycle. So I just happened to tip in when the market was down, way down, and I watched it hit the bottom there.
Mhm.
But then I was there when it turned around. So
Mhm.
I've ended up seeing a full cycle because of that. But it was a very personal journey. And I realized that having watched what happened in 2021 and early 2022, most people came in when they felt they were pushed in. They had to do
Mhm.
something, panic.
Yeah.
And then in 2022, I watched that cycle of you came in late and you got destroyed. The crypto market tends to drop about 70 to 90% between cycles. So
Wow.
if you got pushed in, you got shoved in, you probably got hurt. So I'm like, I'm not going to forward this because that's not how I came in. That's not how I have done reasonably well. It's 2:39 in the afternoon. I can well on my time. I can sit here and
Mhm.
talk to you at 2:39 in the afternoon. I did reasonably well.
Mhm.
But I didn't do reasonably well because someone was telling me buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. I avoided those people.
Okay.
So I didn't want
Gotcha.
to become one.
Right. So let me ask you this then, because that in itself brings up a good point. And I'm curious, after reading the book, Deann. Now I'm talking to you now as a reader. You and I have not discussed this ahead of time, but as someone who's read the book and I'm thinking about this conversation, that takes a certain mindset of the reader, right? Because and the reason why I say that, and I'm curious to see your response to this. I think if you're in a period of desperation where you're looking for that quick thing and someone is telling you you can do this quick, I think this is a great book for people to read and be realistic. Would you agree?
Yes, this is a book for people who, if you're actually, there's two ways to answer that. If you're desperate, still invest now because you won't get hurt on this side, but you won't see your money for a minute.
Got you.
You have a year though to kind of get your position from, well, December 2024 is a little late, but it's about a 9, 10 months to get your position. But if you go into crypto as a get rich idea, yes, the people who understand how the cycle works. I remember there was a particular project, I won't name it.
Hmm.
Everybody got in there and wanted to sell out quick. Well, I was among the people that was waiting on them. I knew they were coming because I'd been in the market long enough. Now, Lord will not let me take candy from babies. I wasn't called for that. But there are plenty of people who will do that.
Hmm.
They know the numbers that people have been hyped up to wait for. They know the psychology of when people sell. So if you're a desperate person, just open your wallet and hand it to them. They're waiting on you. And this happens every 4 years. If you are desperate, then you need to go deal with your desperation,
Mm.
literally, before you get in here. I started my side playlist on my own personal YouTube channel called My Crypto Journey, but I wouldn't do it in 2021, and I wouldn't do it in early 2022 because I knew what was going to happen. People are hearing about, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's at 68,000, it's going to $100,000. No, Bitcoin's going to 15,000. But if you don't know, oh, it's got some upside to it. No, it's the wrong side of the cycle.
Mm.
Desperation literally destroys you. Take every dollar you have, subtract 90 cents. You got enough to pay your tithes at church. That's it. So it is for those who are willing to understand how things work. In 2020, in 2025, late 2025 at this time of year, but Cyrus, I guarantee you, I will not be on your show promoting this book.
Mm-hmm.
I will come back in 2027 because it would not even be ethical for me to encourage people in their desperation to try to get in at that time, going into 2026. So if you are someone who is willing to understand how the cycle works and how to make the best of it, and is not in desperate need, this will work better for you. If you are desperate for your own protection, go do something else.
Mm. So let's dive into that a little bit. And I see you guys are coming in there on the Amazon side. Welcome. And let me reset real quick, Deann. For those who are just tuning in, you all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live, but we also simulcasting this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Our guest is Deeann D. Mathews. We're talking with her about her brand new book, Seizing the Crypto Bull Run for Financial Freedom. We're talking with her not only about the conversation about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, but also her own personal journey and also her advice for others too. And that leads me to the point I wanted to make, Deann, because that's the other thing about this book I really respect. And that is the emphasis you put on education. And I think so many times we jump into situations without being really informed. Now, there's nothing wrong with listening to, Uncle May, or, to have a friend who tells you about something, but being able to do your own research, being able to do your own, looking into things. How important has that been for you in your own personal journey and success with cryptocurrency, Deann, to be able to
It,
actually have people you listen to, but doing your own research?
critical, like any investment. I have some familiarity with stocks as well. Do your own research. DYOR is actually a known acronym. Again, you are the one who has to invest for you. So you have to do research to understand. There was an incident. I will not name the project nor the person involved. Uh, Good project. Person out of his. Okay, let me calm down. And the reason I'm frustrated about it is that this man during, and I mentioned this in the book, but I'll mention it in the project. He gave some advice during the pandemic that caused 1 out of every 1,000 people in the state that he was advising happened to be dead because he encouraged 500,000 people to get together in the heart of the pandemic. So if you don't do your own research, like everything else, it's like I don't think as an African American I'm going to support any company that is, uh, still very unapologetic about slavery. I'm not going to do that. Well, there's that part in crypto as well, although that's not directly connected to the legacy economy, but you do have some very bad actors out there.
Right.
The other thing about it is crypto is really a kind of technology. A blockchain is a kind of technology. It's an open ledger, so you can see the transactions, and they're built to do different things. Bitcoin is hard money. That is, it does not inflate. There's a fixed amount. Ethereum is described as the infinite machine. You can build decentralized applications that are not controlled by corporations. You need to find out what you're interested in. And then, of course, to go back to the beginning, you better find out who's running it. So since let's see, what Bitcoin was only 12 years old, and there are not that many people in the Black community. There are more Black men than Black women, but there's not that many people, period, who have adopted this yet. So doing my own research is what helped me steer around. And let me just say the things that I look for. Again, I'm old enough to remember the dot-com boom. I remember when people were writing plans on napkins and getting funded. You want to make sure you don't pick up any things like that. You want to find solid projects that do solid things and have people with a track record who've done solid things, that are doing things you want to see done in the world. And if you do your research and there are too many of what called crypto bros who call themselves degenerates piling into the project, yeah, you probably want to avoid
Mm, got you. Got you. And that's the thing. Colette, hello to you. Colette says
Hello,
on
Miss Harold.
Facebook, we get on fads and our money fades. That's such a
Mm-hmm.
great point. And that brings up another point you mentioned in the book, Deann, and that is, and you've kind of alluded to it here. So there's so much I think we can talk about with this. But let me before I ask you the question, and I'm getting old, so I hope I don't forget the question I was going to ask you just
Oh,
now.
so am
But
I. So
yeah,
it's
look,
okay.
look, but I want to ask you this question based on something you just said, because one of the things I think people will get confused about is what is the difference. We've mentioned cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. We've mentioned stocks. What is the difference? Because I think that's another thing that confuses people when they hear about investing and they hear about, of course, they think about stocks, it's the stock market. What is if you're talking to a layman, what is the biggest difference between investing in stocks and investing in Bitcoin?
Okay, so basically, to make this really easy, a stock is a piece of the rock. That is, you're buying ownership in an existing company. And
Hmm.
you've been able to do this for a long time, at least since mercantilism became capitalism. So we're 500 and 600 years out on this. But you're basically buying an investment in the success of a company. When you buy crypto, okay, there's an analogy. You are buying into a technology project, but it is more direct. You're buying into the functionality of that project. Now, something like Ethereum has different businesses running on it, if you will, different applications running on it. So, what you're buying into the case of Ethereum, and actually, Bitcoin now has things running called ordinals running on it as well. That's a recent development this year. But what you're really buying is into what this technology is going to be doing directly. Imagine that you could sit down. Well, let's take Amazon. Imagine you could sit down 25 to 30 years ago with the founders of Amazon and get what's called a founder stock before it goes out onto the open market. That's more analogous to what you're doing. You're making uh, a direct investment in the working of a technology, and also Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Hive are not owned by anyone. You're not investing in a corporation. You're essentially
Mm,
investing with people who are still using the technology. Somewhere between stocks and crowdfunding is sort of where
okay,
crypto would kind of fall in there. Now,
interesting.
I
Okay,
should just say the taxes on crypto have nothing to do with either one of those, but in terms of just concepts that we know about, that's
right.
sort of where that would fall in.
Got you. Colette does have a question for you. What do you think about the falling of the Black Wall Street crypto site crashing?
I don't.
Okay.
This I appreciate you informing me. I have to go look that up now.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Okay.
straightforward. Thank you for the news. Now I gotta
Okay.
go find out.
Okay, all right. And she also said that she liked what you said about stock as a piece of the rock as well. And so
Okay.
here's the great thing about conversations like this, and this is why I've always felt like Cyrus represents as a safe space to have conversations like this, because I can readily admit my own ignorance of subjects, but also the knowledge I gained by reading a book like what you have, Deann, but also ask questions I know other people like myself would want to know, right? So now to go back to the question, I'm so proud of myself for remembering what my other question was going to be for you, other than the difference between crypto and stocks, and that is this: how do you know? Because you not only talk about in the book about how to enter the crypto world, you also talk about knowing when to get out.
Okay.
So I guess an obvious question would be is how do you know if it's doing well? Because again, that's why I guess a lot of people equate stocks with crypto when they hear things like that about the entry and exit. How for yourself, how do you normally explain to people how to make sure they're knowledgeable enough to know when to be able to get in, but also when the time is to get out?
Okay. This is a complex answer that isn't complex. Let me break this down. Let me
Okay.
give you an analogy. If I
Okay.
was going to invest in chocolate, the time to invest in chocolate is cyclical especially in the United States. So says Halloween and Valentine's Day are your big bookends. Well, actually Halloween to Easter.
Hmm.
Okay. So It's seasonal. If you invest in chocolate in May, okay, you're set up for next year, but most people are cashing out. So the price of that chocolate is going to begin to go down. But if you
Got
can
it.
wait until October, it comes around again. That's a quick cycle. But you
Got
can
you.
predict that. There's enough data to let you know the time to invest in chocolate is September and sell in, well, Easter's in May next year, but
Hmm.
sell in April and let everybody else run up there to the top.
Hmm.
Cyclical. Crypto is cyclical. Now, I do need to say it has fewer cycles than, let's say, Hershey's, but
Okay.
we know that the Bitcoin halving, which next year will happen in April, is when the bull run tends to start from the data that we have. And in the last two cycles, and I'll give you the name of the channel, No BS Crypto sat down with the charts and I confirmed it with Crypto Capital Venture and also Benjamin Cowan, which I think are three channels I mentioned in the book.
Hmm.
183 days after the Bitcoin halving will generally be the top of the bull run. It's very mathematical. So if the future cycle follows the pattern of previous ones, we know that the Bitcoin bull run should start on April 16th of next year, and it should end on October 30th. There is a reason I put this book out in Kindle on October 30th, 2023. I want to give people 2 full years, which means 4 different divisions of where you are in the cycle to determine what you're going to do, because it is very mathematical. Now, it may move around a little bit. There's a Bitcoin ETF coming. There's an election coming on. There's all kind of things happening in other areas in the world that are adopting Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Hive.
Hmm.
So will there be some variation? I'm sure.
Okay.
But the math suggests, based on past patterns, that you got about 180, you have 180 days, approximately, wait, how does this work? There's a, however many days, it's basically 6 months. 18 months is what I'm trying to say. You got a certain
Okay.
number of months that this lasts, and we can work it out mathematically, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So again, that goes back to what we were saying earlier. Then, Deanne, then it goes back to the knowledge, the education
Yes.
aspect of this, which is why conversations are like this is so important. How has this already been 30 minutes? That's what I want to know.
I know. That got very quickly.
Look, I was looking at my monitor and thinking, how is it saying 24 minutes? All right. So, all right. So, but this is why this is, again, it's an important conversation. And as you just alluded to, for our audience, it's a timely conversation for us to be having as well. I have another comment here from Colette on Facebook, and I see you guys over on YouTube as well. If you guys have any questions for Deann, let me know. And on Amazon, I see you guys. I appreciate the hearts over on the Amazon side. If you guys have any questions though for Deann before we wrap up, make sure you put those in the comments. Colette says, "I've been burned in crypto by bad actor companies. I've stayed with stock as a result." So a book like this may be something to think about, Colette. I mean, it is very, again, as someone who's very basic. I knew nothing, and when I say nothing, people had mentioned to me, "Hey, Cyrus, are you involved, in Bitcoin? Are you involved?" And I would just say no. I wouldn't ask any questions because that's just my nature. But when Deann and I were talking about having this conversation here on Amazon, and she was telling about her book, I was genuinely excited about the conversation because it gave me a reason to find out. My time is so limited, Deann, that I don't have a lot of spare time
Of
to
course.
just to be looking at it. But this is part of my job, so it made it a lot easier for me to be able to take the time to read the book. So last thing I want to talk to you about, and that is about the realism factor. Colette says yes, she's going to get it. But the realism factor, you went into this very wide-eyed. What would you say to our audience as we wrap up here, Deann, about the importance of being realistic about what they expect when they do get started?
Being wide eyed will get you badly hurt
Hmm.
at this point in the cycle. But if you are wide eyed, be wide eyed between, let's say, now and November of next year.
Okay.
There's a lot to learn. This is a wonderful time to do your learning still, because things are not
Gotcha.
likely to really move until April. So that's why I've divided the book off to in the way that I
Mm.
have, for you to kind of know where you are in the cycle. The reason that you want to not be wide-eyed and to be very, very, crypto is not for, this is a very unkind thing to say, but not saying it is even more unkind.
Mhm.
Crypto is not for the emotionally unstable. I have seen Bitcoin print a $10,000 loss in a single 10-minute span. It nearly broke my old computer. Bitcoin will hurt you. The altcoins, everything not Bitcoin, even worse. If you stay too long and you get in too late, I'm gonna say it again. You know, if you're a proper Christian church woman like myself, you know about your tithes, right? Take every dollar you put in there. You have a tithe left. So I don't know how you're gonna manage on Sunday. When I say in the book that if you should happen to buy this in December of 2025, you need to read it and understand it for 2027. I mean that. The next 2 years are just going to be everybody who's still talking about, oh, well, Bitcoin's going to see $250,000 this cycle, or I've heard numbers as high as 375,000, even a million. No. So it's very important not to be too wide-eyed. And the longer you go in before you make a decision to get started, at this point, you can invest small amounts of money and do nice things with it. But you just got to be patient. And you kind of got to know, if we know that October the 30th, 2025, the correct number of days is 553 days later. It's 365 plus 183, 548 days later. If you're in like day 520, yeah, you probably want to be moving out. If you come in at day 520, wait 2 years. I don't have anything else to tell you, because I wrote this because I'm tired of seeing people get hurt. Retail is last. Earth tone retail is dead last. And Miss Harold, Earth tone retail female is dead last. So, hey, like Jesus said, at some point the first have got to be last, and the last have got to be first. But you really have to take advantage of that. I'm not going to push you in. I'm giving you education in a timely manner so that you have time to make good decisions.
And I think the key in that, Deann, is the education. It is definitely, congratulations to you. I'll be writing my review here on Amazon. It definitely is very thoughtfully written, which I enjoy. I like the fact it's easy, because I need some stuff simple. I'm a simple person. So I need things simple. It is written in a simple way, but it's written, the educational piece is, you can tell, is critical in all of this. Again, everyone, Deeann Mathews has been our guest. The book you guys can see there, Seizing the Crypto Bull Run for Financial Freedom. We have it here. I see you guys clicking through. We're getting more sales for the paperback than the Kindle, it looks like.
Really?
So,
wow.
So make sure you guys do go ahead and you can get the paperback here for $9.99, or you can be able to get the Kindle. Let me highlight it for you guys on Amazon for $4.99. You guys can get it there. So take advantage of that. If you guys are not joining us on Amazon, like Colette and others, I see Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. There's a link there that will bring you over to Amazon, so you guys can be able to get it for yourself. There was a question in there, Deann, I saw about YouTube. So let our audience know how they can stay connected with you, please.
My YouTube channel is Hymnody Hands. But if you look up Deeann D. Mathews, the same name as the book, you'll find me. I'm the same person everywhere. You can also find me that way on Facebook as well. On YouTube, I do have a My Crypto Journey playlist, and there is exclusive content coming out for those who are readers of the books. If you have questions, I probably would just go ahead and do a video for those of you who are reading the book. YouTube, I'm very active. Facebook, I'm active in a very business way, which is how I met Mr. Webb. But either way, I'll get back to you.
Love it. Again, Deann, congratulations to you. Really appreciate the time. Looking forward to speaking with you again, okay?
All right. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day, too.
You as well. And we thank you, our audience, for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thank you so much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.